We recently watched a video which talked about creepiness, cringe culture, and autism. Well, today we're going to watch another video from Dana Anderson. It's Cringe Culture Ableist. Please make sure to check out the original video in the description as per usual, give them some love, and yeah, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Dana, and today
Hello,
I want to talk about things that are cringy. I want to talk about cringe because I started this video and I had to restart it, and I've said the word cringe so many times that I'm not entirely sure I'm saying it right anymore. So if I'm saying a different word, just pretend I'm not, okay?
Yeah, that happens.
So I wanted to talk about it today because I'm someone that was always considered very cringy, and I'm not entirely sure I am anymore because I've been to I've been to a few places. I went to one party and one Pride event and had like 3 people flirt with me, and I'm like, wait, am I hot? I'm not. I'm just gay, and they could tell, I think. But I'm someone that's always been considered cringy. I was quite often told in primary school and high school and college that I'm annoying and cringy and people don't like me. But speaking specifically about cringe, it's one of those things that has always sort of worried me. I feel like I'm almost hyper aware of like cringy moments because I'm, unintentionally cringy so often apparently. Especially in high school when I was around more people and more unmasked, I was more myself without, that got bullied out of me, but I was a little bit more myself. I understood myself, like, not myself as a person, but myself as like an autist, I suppose, without knowing I was autistic. I sort of just had more acceptance of my traits and more traits that I wasn't aware of, so I didn't know.
I love that. That's great. Own the cringe, yes. I definitely feel similarly, but maybe not in the sense of cringe. Like, I really don't care if people would find me cringe or anything like that. I usually just take that type of thing as an insult because, it's just a more negative way of saying that someone's weird or eccentric, and I like those words. So that's the way that I think about it. But usually I do worry about like people thinking that I'm creepy. Mostly because I don't like people to feel like fearful of me because I'm generally not like that. But it's not really something that I've been called before. But I do think about it. Like the potential like impressions that people can have of me in the instant.
To mask them is what I'm trying to say. I think, I just didn't know to mask my autism as heavily. I hadn't learned how to mask it all yet, so I was a bit more authentically autistic, and that was seen as cringe. Which is why I learnt to mask it, which is why it's so hard to now unmask all of these autistic things about myself. Because in my mind in high school, cringe was the worst thing you could be. And to some degree, honestly, now, I'm still kind of scared of being cringe. And I've been counteracting that with my TikTok. I've mentioned it in a couple of videos. Follow me there, I guess. If you haven't, I barely post. But I've done a fair few little songs, little TikTok songs. I'll put them here. Here you go. People are rude when I say I'm vegan, but they don't know how it began. Every time that I had dairy, I literally thought I was going to shit myself.
Oh, yes. The good old toilet humor. I love it. Maybe reduce volume. God, that trap is loud.
This is something that I am prone to. Miss another social cue, cause I won't make eye contact with you. That is not something that I do. It's the autism. Maybe you enjoyed them, maybe you found them a bit cringe. I've asked people for like very honest, specific opinions, and a lot of people have been like, oh, it is a little bit cringe. But they don't know that I'm intentionally trying to make it be a little bit cringe.
Yes. She's great. I love her. She's grand. No, I haven't subscribed yet. I'm gonna give it a like and sub.
Like, I feel like as a sort of awkward, cringy person, sometimes you've got to lean into what you can do. Like the James Acasters of the world, we got to do what we can. And I find it funny. I think my songs are funny. I don't know if anyone else does. I don't know why my TV just turned on.
I love it. I love that they left that in as well. It's great. I find it incredibly. I don't know. I value like the confidence to be eccentric and like potentially cringe. I guess I find that it's kind of like it's kind of based. You know what I mean? I understand what base means now. I think it's kind of based, you know, just like embracing being called cringe.
I really don't know if anyone else finds this shit funny, but I find myself really funny. And I know that it's cringy. I know these videos are cringy and awkward and a bit weird, and the songs are like not great, and that's on purpose. You know, yes. I have demos of actual songs on my laptop that you're never going to hear because they're demos and they sound like my TikTok songs. And if you
Authentic.
ever do get to hear them, it'll be when they've gone through a process and sound like good songs. I know my TikTok songs aren't good. They're not meant to be. It's this sort of, I hate to say it, but I'm sort of being intentionally ironically cringy over there, I guess. I hate using the term ironic because of the
I do have a tendency with like, because I'm keenly aware of like how people can interpret different traits of mine, and I'm aware that people think that I'm extremely literal and I'll just take everything that people say at face value. And some people who have known me for a while start to make jokes because they know the autism, that I will take it very, very literally and not pick up that they're being sarcastic or something. And so what I do for my own amusement is to play into it, which does nothing but reinforce their belief that I take things literally, but I find it amusing. I may be cringe, but I am free. Yes. Find it strange and not my humor. I guess maybe the cringe part is the unpleasant sensory feeling of the music. I like the offbeat nature of it. You know, what's the word for it? You know, like Netflix has like 3 different irreverent. Is irreverent the right word? You know, there are 3 different like words that categorize what you're watching. I think masking is generally a kind of trauma you build up, and being knowingly cringy and owning it. It's also a kind of therapy to help you unmask and be proud of your autistic traits. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean. I think I mean, I guess we could reclaim the word cringy in a sense, but I do think that a lot of the time it's just like eccentricism. Don't know how to say that. It's quirkiness. It's like strangeness. It's like I don't particularly know how to describe what I'm thinking. But I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that there is a portion of people who find it very attractive, just like how confidently yourself you can be, to the point where you're happy with being goofy and sort of quirky and all that. Because generally, a lot of people they do this thing called neurotypical shifting. You don't need to call it neurotypical shifting. They do this thing called shifting, basically, where they alter the way that they communicate with people based on the environment and based on who they're talking to, which I think we all do to a certain degree. Well, I think, taking myself as an example, compared to most people, I don't necessarily do that. So, for example, I would talk similarly to pretty much anybody in most situations. Doesn't really matter. I'll be goofy, I'll be strange, I'll be whatever. Doesn't really matter like how much I know someone to a certain extent. Or at least if like I've met someone once, I'm kind of myself after that initial interaction. I don't really change all that much. But I feel like people do, once they open up, become a little bit more quirky and weird, like around people that they know well. It's just that we feel comfortable enough to just show it, just like straight off the bat, or like on the internet or something, you know. Don't know if that code switching. There you go, Marika. That's a better word. See you later, Ross.
On this set song, and that point in like 2010. If anyone else is with me, you know, when everything was ironic and it wasn't actually ironic, but it was all ironic. It was a weird time to be alive, and it made me hate the term irony.
Pseudo-intellectualism.
But it sort of is, I guess, in its own little way, a little bit ironic. But it's sort of just giving myself a place to be free of the worry of being cringe, you know? Because like it's hard to be cringe in a video like this. I need to plug my laptop.
Well, If your aim and your desire is to be cringy, it kind of removes the fear of being perceived as being cringe, because the aim is to be cringy. So it kind of alleviates it in a sense, you know. Oh, thank you very much, Miss Pat, for the super chat. Appreciate you on a Friday night, Thomas. Thanks, Miss Pat. Hello, sweet and tender hooligan. Good to see you. Thank you very much. I like that you call me 40. Jordan says, I often saw people doing this and was confused to why they're not being them or changing who they were around some people. Yeah, it confused me a lot too. It only really became apparent to me as I got a little bit older and started learning more about like communication and such. Because I'd interact with someone one-to-one in a group, and then I would see them and I would interact with them when they're in a group. And the difference between how they even talk to me was apparent in that group. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, why are they doing this? I guess that's why. That's why.
Stop in now, sorry, it's sort of difficult for me to be cringy in this type of content, because I think if you know, maybe you're sat there thinking you're always cringy, Dana, shut the fuck up. But I think for the most part, this type of content isn't cringy because I'm not someone who gets overly emotional. I'm not someone who has like particularly large or dramatic reactions. And that's what I'd need to be doing to make this type of content.
Yeah, I suppose that's another thing. Like, people find emotional expression to be cringy. Like, people who express, like, positive sentiments towards other human beings is seen as cringy to some people, which is strange. But again, I think it's just, like, potentially just the innate desire to want to be open, you know, and want to express that emotion, but, you know, feeling too scared to do so, and thus finding people who do so to be cringy, you know. By the way, is there any correlation between autism and furry culture? I have no idea. No idea. I feel like an unintentional cringe is always cringy. I don't know. I try not to be an ass, though. Honestly, I just don't care. Like, I know it's easy for me to say because I guess I'm used to being out there and judged by people, but it's just inconsequential. It's like you know, when you walk past someone in the street and like they have a different style of dress to you and you're like, oh, that's a bit strange. Like, I don't care if you think that. Like, it doesn't affect me at all. But some people do, I guess. Yeah. So I can imagine that it's an issue if you really care about like people's perceptions of you, I guess, in general.
And cringy. But other types of content, I can be incredibly awkward, you know? Like, it's taken me some time to be this comfortable and this hopefully unawkward and friendly and presentable. I don't know. I have no fucking idea how I come across in these videos.
We love it.
But I don't think I come across as particularly awkward or cringe, hopefully. But when I first started TikTok, I wanted to make TikTok content, you know? And when I started my Instagram reels, like, so the main reason I don't make fashion content anymore is because I just found myself incredibly cringy trying to like pose and model these outfits. Yeah. I cringed at, so like I cringe at a lot of my fashion videos. I cringe while I was editing them.
Well, I guess to a certain degree, if you're like modeling and posing, like and feeling confident in your own body, you know, people are going to find that cringe, I guess, to a certain degree. Not gonna lie, like, I don't know, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I've done my, I do, like, my physique update videos, you know, I'm definitely not shy about doing that, but, I guess, sort of, you know, if I'm to be completely honest, sometimes I see, like, people who have done, like, I don't know what, the kind of photo shoots, like, just for themselves, or, like, have a picture of themselves up on the wall or something of that nature. Sometimes that I'm like, ooh. I don't know if that's cringe though. I don't know. That's just like obviously a very emotional judgment that I probably shouldn't have, but it's definitely a feeling that goes on inside of me. It just feels kind of extra, I guess. Confidence is never cringe. Are you sure? I think it can be to some people depending on what they're confident about, but again, like, it's a very subjective thing for sure. Yes, please. Yeah, she shouldn't have done Fuggy. Fuggy. And
they're videos that I was proud of, and, you know, I wouldn't have posted them otherwise, but I found them cringy, you know, and you're never going to see them because they are long deleted, but I tried to do thirst trap TikToks.
Yeah, there we go.
And it was the cringiest, most awkward shit you've ever seen. And it's one of those things where, like, if I'd, you know, not that I think 14-year-olds should be making thirst traps, but if we'd had TikTok and the like when I was 14 and I'd tried making content, I think I'd have just been posting it and not realised it was cringe.
Yeah.
Because I posted YouTube videos when I was in high.
But I feel like just in general, people, to a certain degree, like, will look back on their teenage self and think that a lot of stuff that they did and found to be, like, completely fine be a bit cringe for them, I guess. David Brent is cringe. I think that's the point of it, isn't it, Alistair? Self-centered ego is cringe, but that's fake confidence. I think maybe I do find fake performative confidence to be cringe. That's for sure, I guess. What exactly is cringe? I mean, from the video that we watched before on sort of cringe and creepiness and stuff, I believe it's, my god, I can't even remember what points they made up. It was an aspect of fear and ambiguity, something like that. I think it's just like something that you think's different and that people shouldn't be like being open about, you finding that cringy. Cringe is made up. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is definitely a thing that people talk about, so, you know, I guess in a social sense it is a thing, but like it's such a common response that people use. Like, they use it for stuff that they don't agree with. They use it for stuff that they find strange. They use it like for like small things, like if you try hard at stuff, you'll cringe, you know? Just anything, really, you know. Confidence is a part of yourself and you have to continue to upkeep and work on. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand what confidence looks like. Like, confidence isn't necessarily you. It's not necessarily a display. Confidence is a lot to do with like how you react to other people. Rather than how you behave towards other people, it's how you react to other people, you know. So I'd say that, you know, just look at like a lot of professional fighters and such, or talk to a lot of people who have a lot of like experience in that field. They're generally really, really chill and like easy to talk to. Most of them, not all of them. It's just easy to have a conversation with them, because they don't feel threatened. You know, and that's what the confidence is. They feel fine. They don't really care too much about other people's opinions of them and such. But I think that's what confidence looks like. But I think due to like the internet and due to a bunch of different social factors, people have conflated being confident with being like outwardly like controlling and assertive and such, you know. I mean, that's just what Donald Trump is cringe. No political talk, please. Yeah. I know that this has happened. Confidence is existing in the world and being a profitable. I've redacted it. No problem. To me, cringe is being authentic. Yeah, I think that comes across for me too. Like it's kind of in, I receive like the level of confidence, I guess. If people are aware that they are strange and eccentric, but they put it out there anyway. Like, I value that. I think that's cool. You know,
high school, and I was proud of them. I was proud of my YouTube videos. You know, I knew they were weird. I knew that, but they were also, you know, just little teenage me being creative and having fun and making something. And I did not. Yeah,
I cringe at myself. I did make a video a long time ago with a friend. We used to do music videos for YouTube, and we did one with like the Witch Doctor, and I was just being my complete goofy self in those videos, you know. Complete goofy self. I wouldn't care if that went like someone found it and it just went viral. I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of funny. Like, you know, I get that. However, what I do find cringe is videos that I find of me when I know that I have been masking, like in that video. I find that a bit cringe. I did, yes. Yeah.
No, they were cringe and stupid and whatever else people said when I got to school, until I got to school and people were like, that's so cringe, why did you do that, what is wrong with you? You know, that's something I've had to really learn to pick up on from myself. I cringe a lot. That was so high pitched, I'm sorry. Like, is someone's dog barking? But I cringe a lot over people, and I always have. Like, even during times where, like, there's been times where I've cringed at someone and turned to other people and be like, oh, that was...
But again, it's like what we were saying in the last video, the whole cringe culture stuff. It's like, you can't help having an emotional response and a judgment to things. It's just what you do with it, you know? Do you just go on and get on with your day? Do you try to understand and, like, figure out why you feel this way towards them, you know? Or do you sort of pick at them and bully them and post stuff about them?
A bit, and they're like, what was. Like, they literally haven't even noticed what I'm like fully, like, full body cringing at. So I think I might have trained myself to like over pick up on things that could be cringy but actually aren't. Like, I've become so incredibly hyper aware of anything that could be cringy, and it makes it very difficult to accurately judge if myself, if I'm being cringy. However, cringe culture on the whole,
I just think that the word cringe in general is just a negative based description of something that's different or strange. It's just like you see something that's different, like anyone can tell that something's different. Do you assign a negative feeling to it or a positive one? I think that's kind of just the difference to a certain degree. I think cringe is being shy for others. Yeah. Well, you can't help it. You can't help feeling it. But posting the word cringe under like someone's emotional display of like positive emotion towards people, that's not something that you can't control. You know, that's the behavior. You know, an interesting thought. The reverse cringe, knowing something wasn't actually authentic or real. Interesting. Yeah. To a certain degree. I guess I find people who aren't authentic to be cringe, I guess, but I think that's similar to the lines that you were saying about Brie. Yeah. Someone being trying too hard to be something that they aren't, being unauthentic. That's what I find cringe, I think. I figured it out. What do I find cringe? Lack of authenticity.
Obviously, it's negative. Cringe culture is essentially bullying someone and telling them, like, you're awkward and stupid and annoying and blah, 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 blah. You know, these are the terms that come with cringe. And I think that quite often, the people that are posting these things that people are finding cringe and really dogpiling on to tell them you're cringe and bully them, they usually are, from my experience and from what I've seen, neurodivergent people.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's like, is it actually cringe or are you ableist? Is it actually cringe or are you just being mean? And as I say, I cringe a lot. So
I don't know if you can categorize some, like, I mean, we can get into all discussion about like maybe you could characterize it as being ableist, but I feel using the word to describe someone who is doing that, but also not understanding that this is a result of them being different in a way that would make them disabled. I don't think it's necessarily like the best way of going about it, you know. I'm very careful about like calling people and things ableist, I guess. Just because I in my mind, it feels like there has to be sort of an implied intention for me to like call it out just like directly, I guess. Not necessarily like I can acknowledge that like the line of thinking and the reactions and behaviors towards a disabled person could be ableist in nature, but it doesn't mean that I will call those people ableist necessarily. You know, because a lot of people they just don't know much about disability and autism, to be honest. But yeah, to be honest, it still does point to some degree of like them not being a good person if they make fun of someone. Like, you know, yeah, cringe is an expression of embarrassment, but it's for another person. Secondhand embarrassment, I guess. Skibby says, as an autistic cringe theatre kid, the ability to express intense emotion is crucial for pertaining a character's depth and complexity. Expressions and acting go hand in hand. Embrace the cringe. Yeah, exactly. You see someone, you know what? Actually, to be honest, to a certain degree, performances, I guess, because it's not them talking and just being authentic, they are like acting or they're like performing something. I do get a sense of cringe from it, even if they're doing it well. Again, it's feeding into that idea of lack of authenticity. I think maybe that's it. That's it for me, I guess. But I'm not saying that that's like a logically sound thing that I should feel and that I should behave on in a negative way. I'm just saying that that's how I feel. I feel that towards myself, even, you know. Doesn't mean that I think that anybody who does performances or anything like that is like weird in a bad way. It's just like the gut reaction that I have, I guess, in a sense, if I'm being honest about it. Yeah, a lot of people do ignore the bullying of disabled people. Quite often, if you call them out and they're not responding in an anonymous way, it won't necessarily happen all that often. But if it feels safe to do so, they might. And a lot of people are happy to ignore it if it. Well, is that whole thing about, you know, if you're aware of something bad happening and you let it slide, that's like a bad thing on your part or something. Watching a bad actor on screen is cringe. I think just watch. Yeah, I guess so. But at the same time, I enjoy it. Like, I love the British Office. Like, I think someone said about David Brent before. I love the British Office. I find it hilarious. I find that feeling of cringe, like, to make me laugh like a ton. You know, I love it. Yeah, but why is that? Think about it deeply. We're judging the actor. Yes, I am. My emotional reaction is judging the actor, but that doesn't mean that's what I think. That's my emotional response, I guess. Even if it's good, I still find it a little bit hard to get into and get over, that sort of emotional response that I have. But it's not warranted logically at all, you know. I do like it. I hope I'm coming across that I'm not trying to say that actors and musicians and performers and stuff are cringe. Just trying to explain why I might have this gut response in as an honest and open way as I can as possible.
I'm also absolutely guilty of it. I think there's lots of topics that I talk about that people comment thinking that I've like gotten over and I've fully sorted it and I'm like the expert on it, and I never am. I assure you I'm not the expert on anything. Everything that I talk about is stuff that I'm like going through and thinking about and struggling with and whatever else. So it's not that I'm this like morally golden person that's never cringed or made someone feel bad for being cringy. I absolutely have, and I probably will go on to do it again at some point, because my foresight and my judgment isn't always perfect as a human being. However, you know, from what I've seen, all too often things like...
I definitely don't think following up and calling people cringe is like... It's hardly ever like a good thing to do, you know? Especially to the person. I feel like it's a bad thing to do, just in general. Unless, like, it's used in a way to put someone down who is way too overconfident and, like, encroaching upon people's boundaries and such.
Stimming are considered cringe, having very intense special interests.
Yeah.
Like, especially, God help you, if your special interest is something that's already considered cringe.
Yeah.
Like, there was one person that I knew in high school, and the only thing we had in common that we were both queer, we were both on the LGBT spectrum, and honestly probably both on the autism spectrum too. But they were obsessed with this one specific anime that I don't remember. And people, like, it was one of the ones that was considered a little cringe to like, that's for children, that's a baby show, you're so cringy, it's so cringy to like that show. And then it's the double cringe.
It's kind of sad, though, like, when people make judgments about people's interests and stuff, you know. I don't think I'd find anyone's interest to be cringe. I don't think I get that feeling from that. I might find it a bit strange or odd, but I would never cringe at it, you know.
Oh, you like that show too much? Which is never a thing, it's total bullshit. Enjoy your hyperfixations, enjoy...
Please stop with the confrontation.
Your special interest, who gives a fuck?
Please.
But, you know, people do give a fuck, unfortunately. Society does give a fuck. And it sucks that, you know, something that's so pure to, like, being autistic, in my opinion, I think special interests are, like, the high point of being autistic for me. Like, that's the one good thing to come out of it a lot of the time, is that I have these interests that bring me so much joy and that like make me happy just to think about talking about them. You know, like, that's the best part of autism. And I've been called cringe for liking things too much. I went to my first Comic-Con in 2013 and everyone in my school thought that was really bizarre and weird and cringy.
That's sweet.
But, you know, it's this thing of like, is it actually cringe? Is it actually like cringy and embarrassing and whatever else?
I guess maybe people might find Comic-Con to be cringe because people get dressed up as fictional characters. But I see. Well, how about both of you just don't talk to each other? Sorry. The thing is, I'm watching the video. I'm not always like, I don't have like an eagle eye view, like always on what's happening in the chat. Just trying to focus on the video, you know. Yeah, I was talking about the Comic-Con. And, you know, people dressing up as fictional characters. I guess because people like are in character, I guess, in a sense. You know, maybe I might find that a little bit cringe. Just a tiny bit. But also, I really like that at the same time. I think that's cool. I like going to Comic-Cons. I've got a lot of thoughts going around in my head today.
Or is it autism? Is it just a neurodiversity? Are you literally just being ableist to someone over something that they can't or shouldn't have to control? Because, like, sure, I could rein in my special interests. I could talk about Doctor Who and Ashes to Ashes and Taika Waititi a whole lot less. But why should I? Just because it's cringe? Like, why should I take away happiness from myself because other people might think it's a bit cringy? You know, I could do something about it, but why should I have to? And that goes double for stimming. And the many other autistic traits, I'm sure, have called cringe at some point. But I don't want to be the person that lists a load of things as cringe for you to go, oh, I didn't know that was cringe and now I feel cringe. Yeah. We don't need it, you know? You know, and then like I mentioned, James...
The important thing to note is that it's a very subjective opinion-based thing and that you shouldn't let it dictate what you do.
Acast to perform. We've got like John Richardson and a bunch of other people that I can't think off the top of my head because I'm not good at thinking like that. But we've got these like comedians, and there's probably musicians and other people I'm not aware of, but centering on the comedians I am aware of, there's these people that have sort of made it almost cool to be cringy. Maybe not so much John Richardson, but James Acast for sure has like made it kind of cool and funny to be cringe. And sometimes, I won't lie to you, some of you are very, very nice and comment on my videos, which I love. You should always do that. But some of you have called me funny in the past. I even had one comment that definitely gave me too much of an ego for like a week that said I should be a comedian. And sometimes I have a little niggling thought of, was I trying to be funny? Like, did you laugh at my joke? Or was I being cringe and not realising it, and that's what you found funny? Cause, like,
I get that as well. You know, people call me, sort of laugh at me and say that I'm funny, even though I'm not, like, making a joke or anything. I generally just respond positively to that. I'm like, I'm glad that I can fill you with a little bit of joy, even if it's at my expense, like in that sense. Like, I'm not too bothered about it. You know, again, it's just like people's subjective reactions to it and such. Generally doesn't upset me too much, but I understand where they're coming from.
There is cringy humour. I've laughed at people for being cringe without it necessarily like being in a mean way. I'm not laughing at them for being cringe. They've done something cringe and it's funny and we've all laughed. You know, all of us, including the person, hopefully actually laughing along and not masking to cover the pain of being laughed at. But you get what I mean, I hope. You know, and as I say, I've been a part of like perpetuating cringe culture as much as anyone else on the internet, and I'm over it. You know, I have these moments every now and again where I'm like, shit, I think I've been...
Saying things are cringe is cringe.
matured. Like when I first stopped like being like, pop
Marvin
music
got
sucks. If you listen to Katy Perry, don't talk to me. You have to listen to the Ramones and the Beatles and David Bowie because that's real music. I'm over it. Listen to the music that makes you fucking happy and I'll have a listen to it too. And if it's a bop, it's a bop. And if it's not, good for you. You know, there's lots of little things that like that I've gotten over as I've gotten older. And my big one at the minute is cringe. I'm just so over it.
It does literally make me cringe when people say cringe towards everything. You know, do you get that? We reached cringeception. Oh, who's Marvin? Marvin is our bot that censors the chat. It's basically there to protect the chat from like an army of trolls that sometimes come along. But it also seems to have a liking to censoring Jackie for some reason. I'm gonna check after this. Once we finish this video, I'm gonna check and see if I can add Jackie to like a green list, because I don't think they really say anything bad, to be honest. Like, I think I can just like add them to like an okay list, because it does happen to them quite a lot. I don't want them to get dissuaded from interacting. The paradox of cringe, yeah.
You know, on the whole, I'm just over not being kind to people and not making people feel good. I'm very much, if it's not going to actively make someone feel better, there's no need to say it, you know? There's no need to do the thing, say the thing, whatever it is. It doesn't need to happen.
I mean, I don't agree with that, but I mean, just expressing negative sentiment just for no productive reason at all, I think is probably not the best. But if there's a reason and you can explain it, I think that could be productive, I guess, in a sense. Not saying that you call something cringe and then say why it's cringe. I mean, like, you know, if there's some like productive thing that can come out of you being contrary in a sense. Make Jackie a moderator, yeah.
Happen if it's not going to make someone feel better than they did before. And I'm very much going the same way with cringe culture. I thought people sort of deserved to know when they're being cringy. And I don't even mean that in like a shitty way. I mean, like, there were lots of times that I think I'd have appreciated someone leaning over and being like, Dana, you're being a bit cringe, rather than sorry, I became Jonathan Ross, rather than like just leaving me to do the cringy thing. And I think for a while I almost felt like everyone that's ever done anything the slightest bit cringy needs to know that thing was cringe, because that's how we learn. You've got to know that it was cringe to know not to do it.
This is exactly what I was saying about with like people who have experienced like people ostracizing them for weird or eccentric or cringe behavior and so like propagate it themselves in a sense. This is what I was talking about. And I think a lot of people use it, I mean.
Do it again so you can stop being cringy. So I felt like it was almost my like moral responsibility to let people know if I found them cringy. And it's just so incredibly unnecessary, you know? And I don't know if it's that like all of the effort that I've put into being a better person's finally paying off. I don't know if it's just that I've gotten a bit older.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just that my energy levels are so low that there's lots of things that I used to put effort into that I just don't have the energy to bring myself to give a fuck about anymore. But I just, like, some of the people that I've met recently are people that I know, like me 5 years ago would have been like, I'm not being friends with them, they're cringe, they're fucking cringy. And now, like, that thought doesn't arrive at all because I'm like, yeah, they're passionate. They're passionate about this thing they like, or they're...
Yeah, that's another thing that people find cringe, passion. I mean, also people find it attractive, but if you're passionate about things that they don't think you should be passionate about, that's cringe.
Enjoying something, or they're just generally like, let's face it, most of the time when we find someone cringe, it's when they're having a good fucking time.
Yeah.
And I'm just...
And you're not.
Way past the point in my life of making someone feel bad for having a good time, you know? Yeah. If it's a bit cringe, then it's a bit cringe. As long as you're fucking having fun, I'm gonna cringe with you. I'll be...
Yeah, to be honest, like, I do find, like, sometimes if I'm in a really bad mood and, like, people are being overly positive and, like, having a good time socially, I might be, like, internally, like, oh, it's a bit cringy. Only because to me, because of the relatively low state that I'm in, it's hard for me to imagine people being like that. And so it appears, it makes me feel a sense of cringe about it, because again, it's about the authenticity aspect of it. But it's not like that. It's just like, it's because I'm feeling down and it's hard for me to relate to people being like that, I guess.
The cringiest shit around if it was going to make me feel good. If I'm having fun being cringe, go for it. And like, I've had moments where I'm sat there and I'm like, oh God, this is cringe. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I don't care. Sweet. I don't care if it's cringe because I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. And I'm going to carry on being my cringe little self if that means that I feel good, you know? And it's kind of a struggle. I won't lie. It is a struggle. It's not kind of a struggle at all. It's literally a struggle because I'm like almost fighting myself, I guess. It's a bit dramatic, but you know, I'm sort of like having internal arguments being like, no, but it's cringe. Yeah, but it's fun. No, but it's cringe. Yeah, but it's fun. So why does it matter? Because being cringy is bad. Is there an aspect of internalized ableism within this line of thinking? Maybe. Cringing sounds like something people do to protect their insecurities. It's another interesting line of thinking. Carry on being your cringe little self, lol. I love that. Indeedy. I'm all for it. The most unhinged I've ever come across, I think. Full Gollum moment. But you get what I mean, I hope. And I've said all I can say, I'm sure. I really don't think I've got anything left to say. If I do, I'll do the shitty little videos on my laptop that I sometimes put in when I'm editing. You might have seen some of them. I don't know. I might have actually managed to say everything I wanted to, which means that now I get to shut up. I'm gonna go. I'm leaving. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, day, evening, afternoon, week, month, year, and I'll see you again in a few days.
Ah, well. Another interesting, delectable addition to our series of cringe videos. Well, not cringe videos, dissections of how cringe manifests in the world, and creepiness, and how it can sometimes tie into autism. Very interesting. Please make sure to go check out Dana Anderson's channel. Don't know if they're still creating content. This was produced about 2 years ago, but they have about 12,000 subscribers, so they might be. So please go over, show them some love. Video description always down in the links. Oh dear. And if you enjoy what I do, please make sure like, subscribe, and perhaps check out my original content channel, which is Thomas Henley. Produce 2 videos a week, and I also host these live streams where these clips actually come from on that channel. And if you become a member, you'll be able to watch almost a year's worth of uncut live streams just like this, and you know, adding in all the bits of random conversations that we have. Yeah. Get the elven scum to make us some potions. We need to fill the boys with some vigour.